Yeah.
Andrew, are you with us? Andrew, can you hear us? Andrew, you're muted.
Yeah, go ahead. Go.
Hi, Andrew, how are you? So this will work. You have your speaker phone, so maybe it's any questions. I'll put you on speaker. It's okay, just work for small groups, which is fine.
Okay. Josh, are you going to go over your report?
Yes. So thank you, Mr. Chair. So the purpose of this application is seek relief from section 4.30.2 and section 7.6 table 10 of the municipality Brighton comprehensive zoning bylaws amended. Now, there are a few variances. The first ones are for recognized existing conditions. So a minimum lot area of 918 square meters and a minimum lot frontage of 21.9 meters. And that's just to recognize that these are existing lots. Minimum high water mark of 8 meters, a minimum front yard of 6 meters, a minimum interior yard of 1.4 meters, and a minimum water yard of 8 meters. Staff have conducted a thorough review of this application and would like to note to the Committee of Adjustment that this property was subject to a previous decision in December 2020. The previous decision permitted an existing lot area of 918, lot frontage of 21.9. So that is incorrect. It is acknowledged the existing lot area and lot frontage is being permitted, which is the same as today. Front yard depth and setback from the high water mark of a minimum 18 meters was determined through regulated approval for trend conservation. Interior side yard of 1.4 a high water setback of 18, and a front yard depth of minimum 185 meters. Now, subsequent to the previous approval by the committee, the owner of this parcel had actually owned both properties, 128 and 130 Bayshore. They were family cottages. They originally were just going to tear down the one and rebuild it, but after speaking with their family, decided to merge the properties, to demolish the old structures and build a new structure for the family. So as a result of that, we had to basically do a new minor variance application. The municipal solicitor confirmed that once the properties merged, any old decisions were no longer applicable as this was a new property. So that's why we're here before the committee today. So we did conduct a thorough review of the relevant planning legislation, including the PPS, which is the provincial policy statements, places to grow growth plan, the municipality of Brighton official plan, the county of Northumberland official plan, and the municipality of Brighton zoning bylaw. As in accordance with section 45 of the Planning Act, the four tests of the minor variance are: is the variance minor? Does it conform with the zoning bylaw? Does it conform with the official plan? And is it desirable and appropriate? So I will note that Lower Trent Conservation Authority has been out to this property, has reviewed it. They are satisfied with the setbacks that are proposed. So in terms of environmental, no negative impacts are expected. And the property proposed buildings are well outside the erosion hazards and the required setback from the erosion hazard. General purpose and intent, if it's outside the environmental and LTC is signed off on it, back and many adverse implications, represents desirable development. Now, the applicant is proposing a new wireless septic system, which I understand septic system which filters the water. So that is desirable and appropriate. Any improvement over water quality next to the lake is a positive thing. The other variance, the other reason why this is desirable is currently when you drive by the property, the cottages are quite close to the road. Street. With this rebuild, there's actually enough room to accommodate a garage and a parking space on the driveway, which is positive. It gets vehicles off. In terms of desirable and appropriate, the building lines are generally consistent with the established building line rear yards. You can look at the sketch and you'll see that the neighboring, the rear is actually close to the neighbor's deck. So we don't anticipate any blocking of views or anything of that nature. Interior side yards are actually an increase over what's existing today with the old cottages. So based on the analysis completed by planning staff, as outlined in the planning report, staff are recommending that the committee approve the variances that are requested, as the application meets the four tests prescribed in section 45 of the Planning Act. I'm happy to answer any questions the committee or the applicant may have.
Just a clarification, if I
Yes.
could. You mentioned parking for one car on this map.
Yes.
It shows parking for two cars.
Oh, yes, you're correct. There is enough width for two cars. Yeah, so there would be three in total. Yeah,
Okay.
with the garage.
Do we know any of the history of the properties? I'm just curious. There were part one and part two. It looked like it was still, was there a water lot or something? That was probably half a decade ago.
So I'll let the applicant fill you in details, but when I did conduct the site visit, she mentioned there was like a seawall program in the 1960s. So if you actually go on the property, you'll see that it goes out quite a bit. And that was something that was done pretty much along the entire shore with the exception of the property to the right, because I think they weren't able to get it done. I think they missed the communication from what I understand, speaking with the applicant. So yeah, there was some
Was it
historical
program?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Up in the north,
Yeah.
in the north corner, east corner.
Yeah.
Like, hasn't the Lower Trent banned the use of concrete be put anywhere in the water for seawalls?
Lower Trent has reviewed this application. They didn't indicate any concerns with it. I'm not sure if because it's an existing and they're simply repairing it rather than review new walls, they maybe made an exception for it because it's just a repair of existing structure.
The the road allowance, the width of the road, this road, is it a 40-foot road or is it a 66-foot road allowance?
That I don't know, but driving it looks like it would be a 66-foot road, but I don't know for sure. We never asked for a survey for the road. Typically, we don't ask for road widenings or the condition of variance. If this was a severance, we would know that for sure, and we would get it surveyed.
And what I'm looking at is that if it's 66 feet, the applicant should be parking the vehicles on their own property, not on the road allowance.
It's pretty narrow, like when you drove drive by there. Like
It is very narrow.
It's very narrow. I mean, it's possible it's pre-66, but usually those old crown roads are 66 feet.
Or 44,
Yeah,
66, 44.
I haven't seen 44 ones. It's possible it's 44. Yeah, yeah. It's very narrow there.
Because when I was driving down, I saw that everybody was parking on the sides of the road.
Yes, yeah.
Is it that all these houses used to be part of, before they were all sheds, it used to be part of an old hunting camp. The fishing camp used to be in Gosport, the duck hunting camp used to be on Keough. And that's where they used to come and hunt for commercial ducking and stuff, and they used to sell them. So maybe it was just a small fad, but they used to have the hotel just before that. Presqu'île Hotel was there. I'm just looking at the width of the road, because when I was walking this, the neighbors came out talking to me. They like the ideas going, they know the neighbors, but it's just the parking on the side of the road, on the opposite side of the road.
It's exactly, and I think that's the reason why I strongly feel that this is desirable, is because it is taking some of that parking off the road.
Yeah, there is no parking now where they are now. The other one is the septic system. It doesn't show where this system, I don't think it has a tile field. Is it a direct discharge?
I will leave that one to the applicant. Andrew, are you able to, did you hear Councilor LeBlanc's question?
I heard most of it. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Sorry, did you ask if it was a direct discharge?
direct discharge or discharge the ground to a tile field.
It is like a typical septic field, as you see in a conventional system. The difference with this system is it has a second tank, which is like a polishing tank. So meaning that the treatment of the water by the time it comes out of that second tank is already well on its way to being digested. So the benefit of the water system is for these conditions effectively for smaller sites. It's a septic field itself can be much smaller. Does that answer your question?
Yes, but it's an anaerobic process, correct?
Actually, aerobic process. I'm not sure if you're familiar with one.
Yeah, this one here, I read it's an aerobic.
A cage of sponges, so which utilizes the use of airflow through that second. It's a pretty sophisticated system, actually. It's simple technology, but it's the movement of air through these sponges that actually accelerates the digestion.
I understand. So there is a compressor system, an airflow unit that pumps air into the secondary chamber.
I believe so, yes, yeah.
Okay. I thank you. So
I
when,
believe it's just a gravity turning from that second tank into the septic field.
because my concern was that if it was anaerobic and the direction of water flow would be underneath the building. So if you have anaerobic bacteria, you're going to get sulfur, nitrogen, different gases that are being exhausted, and your basement floor is impermeable, so those vapors would come up. And I was also concerned about the cottages on each side, that it could be migrating on each side with anaerobic bacteria, because their tile fields are on the water side, not on the back side of the house. So that was one of my concerns, but you've addressed that. Thank you.
Yeah, it was the dissolved the water representative that was quite pleased with the percolation rate of that soil, so they were pretty confident that by the time the fluid actually got to the field, it would be well on its way to being digested.
Just as a point of interest for further files that may come in front, you know what the percolation rate was?
It was T15, I believe.
That's really high. That's really good. Really good. Yeah, that's exceptional. Really good.
Okay, you had a question? Is that?
Just further to that, if they're going to enter into a service contract with Waterloo, for maintenance and inspection year annually?
Yeah, sorry, there is an annual kind of inspection suggested, and I believe it's even required for the first many years. Yeah, as there are pumps, there are some mechanical elements to the system that need to be upheld.
And so that service contract is mandatory when they purchase the unit versus.
I believe so, yes.
This is a question for Josh. When we're looking at this minor variance of 1.4 meter setback, that is usually in a built-up area where there's water and sewage available. And usually when we look at a rural area, this is more like a commercial without water and sewage. This 1.4 meters usually it's applied to our urban area, where in a rural area, it's usually 16 meters or so.
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair. So in the rural areas, it's for the shoreland residential, it's 10 meters actually.
Okay.
But these are essentially postage size stamp lots that were created back in like the 1920s. So recognizing that it's not really possible to maintain that 10-meter setback, just given the constraints of the lot, we looked at the existing site plan where the existing cottages were. And it is actually an improvement over what was there previously. So for example, on the east side, I think it was previously like 0.3 or 0.4 meters. Now it's 1.4. So it has increased. And then we looked at the actual property. You could see there is quite a bit of space there for emergency access. I actually also asked the fire chief to take a look at it as well. And he was satisfied with the variances that were requested. But I agree with you, Councilor LeBlanc. Typically, if it's in a more rural area, I'm trying to maintain rural compatibility, we would ask for a greater setback to maintain that built fabric. But as you look, when you drive down the road, the lots are quite close together. So as long as there's emergency access, then we're okay with it because it is compatible.
What you're basically saying, we're staying consistent with that neighborhood.
Correct. Yes.
So we're not going to set a decision with this precedent. We're going to make a decision on allowing this to take place. So it's not going to set further precedents.
Well,
Other
as,
people that come in front of us, right?
as I was taught in planning school, there's no precedence in planning, but again, that doesn't mean that that's not the case. It does influence it. You're not incorrect. But in this case, there's no issue because it does maintain existing setbacks and the existing compatibility of the neighborhood. That is something that we take, very seriously as the planning department, which is why I went out there and looked at it myself to make sure it wasn't creating a constrained lot. But I think in this case, we're okay with it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, just can I give Andrew, do you have any other comments on behalf of the application?
Andrew, do you have any other comments?
I think it's pretty well been covered. Yeah, obviously there were some constraints to the law that we were working towards. We've been in conversation with Kurt Johnston of the county for septic inspection, and we're going to work closely with him. Yeah, given our clients' demands for certain design and accommodate kind of 3 families within one house, we were more or less forced to do with a 2-story structure, and it seems that the development along that road is kind of going in that direction anyway. The neighbor to the west is already a 2-story structure, so we were cognizant of the fact that it was a change in the neighborhood, but I believe that the neighbors at 126 Bayshore are also looking at redeveloping the property in the coming years. So the existing owner has been a long time owner of the property. I think it was her parents that purchased it back in the 50s, 60s. And she's in good conversation and in good standing with her neighbors. So it's all about work. So it looks like it's an appropriate flow place.
Andrew, very nice.
Yeah,
Brent?
yeah.
All right.
So the 2 cottages there, they're seasonal, obviously. And this will be a full-time residence, or they'll use it seasonally?
I believe it will be still seasonal, but Andrew, are you aware?
The neighbor to the west is actually, I believe, a full-time resident. The intention of the owner is to use it seasonally for the foreseeable future. They still own a residence in Toronto, but it's more or less a weekend cottage. So, yeah.
And the second one, I guess, to Josh, is she Lower Trent wants some vegetation along the seawall there.
Yes,
How do we enforce that? I know, I don't,
yeah, it's a,
conservation authorities don't like this. They'll say they want this, but sometimes they
that's a good
follow
question.
through.
That's a good question for you, Mr. Chair. I did actually ask the applicant, so on the site plan, you'll see that there's a vegetative buffer proposed along the shoreline there. And then as a condition of approval, the applicant has provided operating and drainage plan. So the vegetative buffer details will have to be provided in that plan, and that plan forms part of the agreement.
Thank you.
So that's vegetation, meaning something other than grass.
Yeah, it's shrubs and flowers and things that are obviously non-invasive, so native species that are acceptable. And it's part of the permit requirements as well for LTC.
So since we have a good staff, well, temporary staff, could be permanent staff member, Samantha, she would look at this because this is her field.
Yeah, so Samantha and Scott are the staff that review the grading and drainage plan. So I'll be asking Andrew and his team to put the planning details on that plan.
And the best use of shrubs and the ones to plant, we would pass it through her first.
Yes, yeah, so she'd have to sign off on it as the review authority for the grading plan.
Yeah, because she's done some amazing work with the town already.
Yes, the pond is very nice. Yeah, yeah.
It is.
Okay, any other comments? Anybody else speak in favor of or against the proposal? Nobody around. Hearing none. Did we receive any correspondence?
Through you, Mr. Chair, Marianne, we didn't receive any written correspondence. There was a phone call to the planning department from the neighbor to the east. And he just had a question about where the actual building would be set back in relation to his house. He just wanted to ensure that his water view wasn't blocked. So if you look at the drawing, you can kind of see that the rear of the proposed structure matches his deck. So his amenity area is going to be well intact. He seemed to be satisfied with the response that staff gave him. He's not attending the meeting today.
I think it's to the north.
Is it? Oh, yes.
To the north.
Yeah, that's right. I usually look at it this way. You're right.
So I think I forwarded his name to Marianne, and he was talking about the hospital road. Because we have a minor variance that he has his septic and his field bed on our road allowance, unassuming road allowance. And it's only a short road, so I said, why don't you just take it over and buy it from the town? And I think he's approaching to do that, which is
Okay.
at the same time. Because it would give him more, because right now they use the loop and people can park on that loop because it's an open road allowance. He maintains it, but he probably should own it. And that's why we're gonna keep road and water frontage for a reason.
Yeah, I'd have to take a look at our road frontage, or road closure policies. Some municipalities don't close waterfront road frontages.
That's
For
what it says. in
public
our-
access.
We
Yeah.
just passed one a year and a half ago.
So it does say that.
No, it says they don't want us to close road. frontage.
That's what I
Water
thought.
frontage.
Okay, yeah, because we had problems in Prince Edward County, as you can imagine, with our waterfront being eaten up. So we're trying to preserve the quarter section roads where we could.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any other discussion? Okay, we're ready for a motion.
I'll put a motion up that we approve it.
Second. Carried. Okay, I guess the next meeting date is whenever required. Guess we're adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Can I ask you a question just to?
Thank you, Andrew. We'll mail you a copy of the decision when it's available. And by mail, I mean email. Okay, thank you.